Shalom lekulam, and welcome to our ninth class or lesson on the Book of the Zohar. We are basically in the prologue section of the Book of Zohar, and we're studying these different articles inside the prologue, and we're continuing today with the Letters of Rabbi Hamnuna-Saba. We started explaining the nature of the letters, what the letters basically represent, what it is all about, and all that. And in this section, we're going to start talking a little bit about what is called the punctuation marks, and in there we're going to understand also. Let me see. Understand also that each of these punctuation marks represent a sephira, okay? And whenever we see this punctuation mark in a prayer or on a basically on a Kabbalah, it has something to do with, let's say, you guys see all the letters using segol, that's because it's bina and things like that, okay? So in the meantime, let's just start, and as always, let's start with scanning these names of God that are filled with all the names of God, with all the letters. And we're scanning from right to left, concentrating on each letter without trying to read them, just scan them, okay? Don't try to understand it or anything like that. What you're trying to get from each of these letters is its light. Make sure you scan it with the intention that you're going to be studying the Book of Zohar for the sake of bringing light down to the world, for the sake of changing your nature from an egoistic one to a altruistic one in which you're gonna be loving yourself and you're gonna love your neighbor as you love yourself, and in turn you're gonna be loving the Creator. Okay, so scan these letters in silence, and as always we're gonna then read the prayer of the Ari before we start the Zohar. A prayer from the Ari, Rav Isaac Luria, to be recited before the study of the Zohar. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters, the Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our forefathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such big favor, which is the reason we plead before you that you will forgive and acquit all our sins, and that they should not bring separation between you and us. And may it be your will, your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you. And may you listen to our utterances and open our closed hearts to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as the aroma of sweet incense. And may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you reveal your wisdom to the world, shine. May their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as it is stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I will see the wonders of your Torah. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. May the utterances of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. So we were talking in the previous lesson about the order of letters, descending orders and ascending order. Descending order of letters is basically the answer of fulfillment of the vessel as it enters the vessel as or pinimi. The Ma'in being feminine waters prayer request is based also in severity or judgment, while the Ma'in green are based in mercy. And what we're gonna see is the following: is that each letter, as we're gonna see here, are gonna appear in the Zohar, in this section, in this order, the order of Ma'in Nukhbin. Ma'in Nukhbin is feminine waters, prayer, requests, and things like that. And the reason it appears in that way is because it's the Zohar trying to let us know how is the process of how is the level of how a human being needs to be attaining these different levels of spirituality. And he does so by starting with the first letter from our level, which is the Tav. Right? If we were in the upper level, we were the one bestowing, we would start with the letter Tav from above, right? No, we will start with the letter Aleph, and we will receive then the letter Tav at the end. Okay, so this is something to make sure that we keep in mind. Okay, now we're going to talk about combinations let me change the slide here. Okay, so we're going to talk first about the combinations here of letters, and then we're going to start with the letters conversing with the creator, right? The following combinations emerge, right? We got the Aleph revealing the Mem from the right side, right? From the right side. And the Mem stand to the left line of the Aleph. Mem reveal the Shin as the middle line. And Mem initially consists of the left line, for it exists in the form of a concealed letter Mem in the word Elohim, okay? Which pertains to the left line and so forth. This is how all the letters of the Hebrew alphabet were born. So from Aleph emerged Mem, which is at the left, and then more at the left was Tav, okay? And that's where we have the letter Emet and also all the Hebrew letters of the alphabet. However, inside this alphabet, we're gonna find two letters, the Aleph and the Ain. And these letters sometimes are going to sound like depending. But the Aleph and the Ain do not have any particular sound. It all depends on the punctuation marks. So these punctuation marks are the ones that are going to give sound to those letters. Okay. Also, you're going to have the letters, I go back, the letters Bet, all right, the letter Let, the Bet, Kaf, and the letter Pe, and they can be pronounced as V, B, K, Ch, and P, F. Okay, so they have a double sound, and for this, you know, you can go to the Sefer Yetzirah where this is explained. These are double sounds. The Hey is not pronounced; it's just like aspire, like Hey. You gotta add, you know, another letter to it in order to have a sound, because the Hey itself doesn't have a sound. It's H, you know. Now, the shapes of the letter Mem, Nun, Sadi, Pen, Kaf, the shapes of the letter Mem, Nun, these are the last, you know, these letters have two, what is called the Sofit. Mem Sofit is a closed letter, Mem. Nun Sofit is this Nun here, long Nun, right? Then you have the Pe has a Sofit form, which is this way. The Tzadi, it has its form, its last form like that. Menun Tzadi Pe Kaf. It's not in the same order, but this is how in Kabbalah they call it. They call it Mansepach. Mansepach, which are these change one place at the end of the word, as seen in here. At the end of each word, these all letters are at the end of the word. They're gonna be closed mem, elongated nun, elongated pe, elongated tzadi, right? And the kaf as well. Okay, it's called mansepach. The shape of the letter indicates the light in the part of the letter that where the light basically, where the letter, let's put it this way, the shape of the letter, it indicates where the letter itself has more light than in other places. The filling, the milui indicates the height of the degree. The punctuation mark, which is the nikud, indicates the origin of each part of the parsuf, right? So the nikud indicates the origin. So this might be, let's say, a gimel from bina, or a gimel from chesed, or a gimel from nexak, things like that. Whether it came from upper parsuf, or from a lower parsuf, or from itself, which is where there's no mark, which is Malchut, okay? The vessels itself are called letters, otiyot, okay? Letters. And the punctuation mark, the nekudot, indicate the light that enters and exits them, okay? The light of bina, zerampi, and malchut can enter these vessels, these kalim, these letters, but the light of keter and chokmah cannot. And a dot above a letter, basically like that, a cholam, signifies the life of keter and chokmah, which never clothe the kli, hence the location of the dot above the letter, okay? So in order to be inside the letter or below the letter, it needs to be clothed. And we already talked about that. We talk about the light of chokmah cannot come down to Malchut directly unless it is clothed in all Hasidim. Unless there's a connection with bina, then Zerampin will not be able to transfer the light of chokmah to Malchut. So it has to be clothed in all Hasidim, okay? So there has to be a connection between Ava Ve'ima, and Zerampin then can become that vessel that will transmit the light to Malchut, okay? So what we're gonna see is the following, that the punctuation marks have also or are assigned to a sefirot. So we got kamatz, which is keter, and chokmah, ptach, right? And what we're gonna see is that these are assigned to keter and chokmah. Segol is assigned to bina, tzere to chesed, shva to gevurah, cholam to tifareh, chirik to netzat, kibbutz to hod, shuruk to yesod, and malchut has no mark. However, if you look, you can Google it. There's more punctuation marks than this. There's plenty of others that are not listed here, but these are the basic ones. So we're gonna see with the other ones kind of like a mix of these punctuation marks. So you're gonna sometimes see, for example, let me see if I can go back to Hebrew here. You're going to see, for example, I'm gonna use a letter Vav as an example, and you're gonna see this punctuation mark. Okay, let me see if I can see it. That punctuation mark, put it bigger so you can see it. So what you see here is basically a letter Vav, but it has a punctuation mark that you're gonna find sometimes, and it's a mix of two punctuation marks. You're gonna see a segol in there, and you're also gonna see these two dots in the side, and you're gonna see, well, I don't see the two dots in here. Oh yeah, it's a Geburah. So you're gonna see then, okay, so this is a mixture of Bina and Geburah. So you're gonna see these kind of mixtures as well in some of the letters. So all you have to think is about that. Plus, depending where it's located, right? These dots are located in the bottom, so it has to do with the nefesh. It has to do with the hotness sag yesod side of the tree of life. So just keep that in mind when you're reading the Hebrew and all that. Also, what you're gonna find is let's see if I can go on here, and there's a one in the top, I think. Anyway, you get the idea, you know, that that you're gonna find nekudot that are not listed here because they're a mix of it. But you're gonna find, you know, this. Sometimes you're gonna find also, you know, a dot on the side, which just means sometimes, you know, just separations. Don't confuse also these symbols that you're gonna find. Don't confuse those with any of the nekudot. Those are not nekudot. Those are just symbols that we use in the Hebrew alphabet to separate letters. To make sure that you don't confuse it for a word, that you know that it's an acronym. All right, make sure that you know that it's an acronym. Okay, so don't confuse that with a punctuation mark. Okay, so then it's going to explain here, you know, like for example, two horizontal position dots, Sere, Alusu, Sefiro, Chogma, and it's way different than we have here, but it's telling you basically, you know, it's Ava Veima, which is you're gonna see then, oh, this is why, you know, it's just a combination of these two in Chesed and things like that. But let's go to something less complicated. Okay, so the line of Hasidim, which is the line, the light that needs to go, or that needs to cover Chogma in order to fulfill Malchut with the light. The life Hasidim is defined as protruding. For a protrusion beyond the limits of a spiritual body means that the light is so great that it comes out by elevating or protruding the limits. It originates from the middle line, which is Tiferet. A cavity in the body occurs due to the following reasons. So it's trying to explain here, you know, how these actually things. The light is insufficient. The light cannot shine there. The light of Chokmah is present, but the light of Hasidim prevents it from shining. So when we see that the light Hasidim is basically appear, right, means that it can go to this different level. But when it is just here, that means that it's lacking that light of Hasidim. It has the light of Chokmah is present, but doesn't have the light of Hasidim that make that light of Chokmah shine. And this is what happened to Adam when he sinned, right? He only had the light of Nefesh. So it's like some kind of light of Chokmah there, but nothing there basically to make it shine. So the Nekudot also are defined by three lines. In the head, in the Rosh, what we have is the Kamatz, the Patach, the Sere, and the Cholam. And they represent basically right line, left line, middle line, and middle line. And you're gonna say, wait a minute, Hotma is in the right, Bina is in the left. What's going on here? This is where it gets kind of confusing, right? Because then we're gonna see, that Segol Chesed is right line, Sheva Gebura is left line, Tifaret, which is Shuruk, is middle line. The extremity Chirich is Nesak, Kibbutz Hot left line, and Malchut middle line has no designation. And then it mentions, the levels of Nekudot, which is above the letter is the light of Neshama, in the letter is the light of Ruach, and under the letter is the light of Nefesh. Okay, so let's see if we can start here with item 23. Alright, so remember everything that we talk about, the letters and all that, and the nekudot and all that, you will find some contradictions in different books of Kabbalah and all kind of stuff with these different attributions, including, I just reading, the Baal Hasulam here, and there's some stuff that I have seen in other books that is different. That's why myself, I like, it doesn't, agree with something that I read in another book from a school that actually teaches Baal Hasulam's articles and things like that. So I get back to it myself, to make sure, that that's correct or not. But like I said, the Kabbalah is all about not only learning, it's about a journey. And this journey is not only about knowledge, it's a journey about bringing down the light and understanding the reason we're here. And the reason we're here is to emulate the Creator, to be good as He is good, to do good to other creatures as He does good to His creatures. Okay, so now let's start reading the Zohar, so we can then talk about the letter Tov. When the Creator thought to create the world, all the letters of the alphabet came to Him in reverse order, from last to first. The letter Tov entered first and said, Master of the world, it is good and also seemly of you to create the world with me, with my properties, for I am the seal of your ring called truth. That ends with the letter Tov, and that is why you are called truth, and why it would be befit the king to begin the universe with the letter Tov, and to create the world by her properties. The Creator answered, You are beautiful and sincere, but do not marry the world that I conceived to be created by your properties. You are destined to serve as a mark on the forehead of the faithful, who have kept the law of the Torah from Aleph to Tov. When you appear, they shall die. Not only that, but you are also the seal of the word death. And because of this, you are not suitable for me to create the world with you. The letter Tov then immediately left. And we already explained that the word emet is basically the first, middle, and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet that meant signify that bina, that desire to receive, that desire to bestow. And when that is missing, basically you have Aleph Tov, right? And when the Aleph is missing, you also gonna have death, Mem Tov, okay? And the Aleph is, as is explained, is basically that this light of mercy that will channel everything to Malchut, okay? So keep that in mind. So let's talk about the letter Tov. As we mentioned before, each letter is a vessel, right? That will have in itself some light, some information, and they actually correspond to a particular degree. The letter itself is a spiritual degree as well. The letter Tov claims that the properties that it has is suitable to create basically creation, create the world, because it can bring the world to correction and to the goal of that correction, which is Shabbat, right? By using its property that is called emet, truth. And this truth is also the Creator's seal. So what we need to understand is that the impure forces, there exist in account of the little light, that noga, that little light that they feed from. This light is called ner dakit, tiny candle. Without this light, these impure forces will not be able to assist and function. And the impure forces, in order to feed from this light, they tempt a man, a human person, to sin, to separate itself from the Creator, so they can feed from this tiny spark of light that fell, when man fell from the pure Sephirot, from that pure level. Therefore, the lowest pure degree lets a little bit of the upper light down to the impure forces. Without the support of the pure forces, the impure forces will instantly disappear. Now, we need to ask ourselves why we need these impure forces to assist, right? So, why do we need these impure forces if the Creator is good that does good, right? That's the question. So the answer is that it was necessary to create these impure forces in order to concentrate them in an enormous desire to receive pleasure and immense egoism. This system of impure world of Abiyah, so remember we have an Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, but there's also the same system for the impure forces, and they are the storehouse of this desire to receive, this egoistic desire. When man attached to this incorrected impure desires or forces, he has the chance, he has the power of correcting them. As man ascends to a higher and higher degree and gets closer to the Creator, these impure forces are going to be ascending with him and receiving more light and more light to the point that man will correct them. And this is the importance of those who study Kabbalah, because they are the ones that are studying how to go higher and higher to these levels, right? Unlike, Prophet says, unlike the act in the spiritual world, man in our world is only influenced by the small egoistic force called his body, his ego. Man can struggle with this force, either winning or losing his battles, but even if he is defeated, man retains that tiny spark of light, ner dakit, which sustains his existence. And hence the vertical line, the leg of the letter Kuf, descends below the writing line, which signifies the light descending through this letter down to the impure forces. And no other letter descends below the writing line like the Kuf does. So the Kuf is basically this one here, right? Even though we're gonna see the pay, there's that, and the Kuf is here. It's the only one, but we see the Kaf goes down. This all Sofit, the letters. Nun goes down. The pay goes down. Sadi goes down, and that signifies severity. These letters basically mean severity. When you see those final letters, it's restriction, severity. But Kuf has no final letter. The letter itself goes below, okay? And that's the first letter for what? For Clifford, right? At first, now it's talking about the Tov, the leg of the letter Tov also descends below the writing line. So at first, this little leg here was going below as well. But the Creator saw that the impure forces would then be too close connected to pure ones, so he severed this connection and returned the left leg of the letter Tav back to the writing line, to the level of the pure forces. As a result of this shortening of the left leg of the Tav, it doubled its thickness. So that's why this leg is here thicker, right? If you look at the head doesn't go below, and the head also doesn't go below, but the Tav doesn't go below because this leg was supposed to go down, but the Creator basically bend it backwards, right? So that's why it's thicker. And this is allegoric, okay? Remember that. This is the language of Kabbalah. So this means that it folded this leg in two. The light passes to the light doesn't pass to the impure forces anymore, but on the contrary, becomes the Creator's seal by holding the impure forces at bay and preventing them from stealing the upper light. For as soon as any impure force touched it, they instantly died. Mot, remember? Dead. And all the life force necessary for sustenance of the impure forces is passed by the Creator through the letter Kuf. So it's only through this letter that those impure forces, those forces of Tuma, will receive the tiny light, right? So they can continue living. And this is being the first letter of Malchut. It is remote from them. There is no fear or risk that its connection to the impure forces will become too strong. Okay. Malchut consists of only 4 letters. From above downwards, it will be Kuf, Resh, Shin, and Tav. Kuf is the first. Okay, Kuf is the first. Tav is the last. And below it are the impure forces. Therefore, if they receive the light they need according to the thought of creation from Kuf, the furthest letter from them, the impure forces have no way of stealing more light than Malchut, who consists of 4 letters and is obliged to give them. Okay? I'm gonna read that again. Malchut consists of only 4 letters from above downward. Kuf, Resh, Shin, and Tav. Kuf is the first, Tav is the last, and below it are the impure forces. Therefore, if they receive the light they need according to the thought of creation from Kuf, the furthest letter from them, the impure forces have no way of stealing more light than Malchut, who consists of 4 letters, is obliged to give them. So this is considered up, down, right? So this is the only letter that can give light to the impure forces, because the impure forces, let me make sure I can, the impure forces are going to be below that line, right? And Kuf, as you can see, reaches that line. But Tav is above that line. So in order to reach light from the Kuf, the Tav basically becomes like that door, that gate that won't let them steal the light. They will receive the light in accordance to what the creation will give them. This is why the letter is called Kuf, to show that it gives strength to the impure system of Abiyah, or a fake non-existent man, just as a monkey, which is a kof, in Hebrew resembles a human being. And it misleads people to pretend to be the truth and claiming that its path leads to attainment of spirituality, to the Creator, to Lishma, to the sensation of the Creator. However, the pure forces maintain that only with the help of the Torah, can man attain adequate correction of his properties so as to merge them with the Creator. And this is what the letter Tav then basically claimed to the Creator, because it is the Creator's seal of truth, and basically emet, and it's standing in the end. The pure system does not allow the forces, of evil to get in, like it says in here, it says, that ends with the letter Tav. I am that gate that don't let the evil forces basically feed from this light. And then this is why things is fit, because I can analyze the good and the evil, the pure and the impure, and anything that inhabits, creation, what is good, what is not good, and things like that. But these 4 letters, the Kuf, Resh, Shin, To, are basically the 4 Sefirot of Malchut, or the word of Hatzilut, which are Keter, Chov, Mabina, and Tiferet, where Tiferet consists of 6 Sefirot, right? And but when the letter Kuf is by itself, without Resh, Shin, To, without the Resh and the Shin and the To, basically by itself, standing by itself, which spreads to the word of Biyah, also shines upon the impure forces, and the angel of death receives strength to destroy all that lives. This level is designated by the letter Kuf. But when Malchut is corrected, she is designated by the letter Hey, whose different from Kuf lies in the long leg of the Kuf, Malchut, the Malchut. Okay? So I think I still have the Hebrew there. Let me put the Kuf. And in another, I put Hey. So basically what you're gonna see is these 2 letters. The Kuf reaches down, right? Which is below. Let me put them together. Which is below the level of the impure forces. Okay. Put a line here so you can see. Okay. So reaches below the impure forces, but then when this letter stand by itself, and then when Malchut is corrected, it becomes a Hey, meaning this line then goes to the side, and this one goes up and becomes a Hey, becomes corrected, becomes Malchut, basically the letter Hey of the Yo Hey and the Vav Hey, and it's that's just how it's corrected. Okay, and this is all, like I said, this is all symbolism in order for you to understand what's going on, how these letters actually are kind of like one letter that forms different forms, numbers, forces, vibrations, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Now, when he says, that the long left leg, which turns the Hey into a Kuf, indicates that the light descends from the pure forces to the impure word of Biyah, right? The impure forces referred to as death, right? Mot. Now, when Malchut joins Bina and receives the strength of Bina, when the daughter receives the clothing of the mother, right? That desire to be stolen, other egoistic desires, and receive the light, the other letters join Malchut, and she draws the light of life from Bina. What are the other letters? The other letters are the Resh, Shin, Tav, okay? And in this state, the left of Kuf is reduced in half, turning the Kuf into a Tav, and then the leg is twice as thick due to its shortening, and the part of Malchut that passed the light to the impure forces now ascended out of them. Hence, there are 2 kinds of Malchut: Mishtacha, which is the key, the part that joined with Bina, and Manulah, the lock, the part that ascends out to the impure forces. And understand that, make a note of that. I'm gonna read it again because there's a section that we're gonna read that is called like that: the Mishtacha and the Manula, the lock and the key. In this state, the left leg of the kuf is reduced in half, turning the kuf into a tav. So now what we're gonna have is the tav, the kuf turning into a kuf turning into a tav, right? And then when the kuf turns into a tav, whose left leg is twice as thick due to its shortening, the part of Malchut that passed light to the impure forces now ascending out of them. Hence, there are two kinds of Malchut. We're gonna find a miftacha, which is a key, Malchut called a key, the part that joined with Bina, the part that became, corrected, and Manula, the lock, the part that ascended out of the impure forces. So you're gonna find the lock, or the key, and the lock. So tav is like the lock. These two parts of Malchut manifest in different way. The miftacha, which is the key, openly, and Manula is secret. So miftacha is open, external, and Manula is secret, internal. Two paths of bringing man to correction merge from them: the good path of Torah and the path of suffering. So we talk about the path of Torah, the path of suffering. The path of Torah is when you're studying, let's say, Kabbalah, or you're following the spiritual laws, and you're not living by the laws of cause and effect of the physical universe. When you're living by the cause of the physical universe, which is all the laws of cause and effect, basically that's called the path of suffering, because you're basically advancing according to the blows that nature gives you. Humanity has been learning throughout history in this way, by the blows. We have wars, we have natural disaster, we have illnesses. At the point of this video, we have a pandemic going on. These are blows that humanity is receiving, because even though we have become this world village, we are separated. We hate each other. We depend on each other. There's no question. We already have acknowledged that we depend on each other, but we still hate each other. We still want to fight each other. We still don't get along with each other. We still envy each other and things like that. And this is basically what he's talking here. While the path of Torah is different, it's a path in which I understand that you need me, understand that I need you, and that we need to work together for a common goal. We don't have necessarily to like each other, but we need to love ourselves for the sake of love, not finding any crazy idea in order to separate ourselves. So this is love above our differences, okay? And that's really hard, to practice, right? It's like it's asking for too much in this world that we live. That is all I want, all I feel, all I want, all I see. The I want us to live in a world of the path of Torah, which is a more altruistic desire, right? But it says here that when Malchut corrects the properties and joins Bina, she no longer parts from Bina, but upon receiving, receiving the light from Bina becomes basically desire to receive itself, becomes Bina itself. Malchut gives to the worlds, and the impure forces lose their strength to sow death and rule over the world. And if a case of let's say a sinner arises and must be punished, the impure force must first receive permission to punish this person, for without permission they may not reveal Manula, which is the lock. Okay, so this is basically when we talk here about punishment. Remember, we're not talking about punishment of reward punishment. We're talking basically about correction. Okay, when a person basically a sin is when a person misses the mark, the impure forces will be there, but will be there not now, to try to persuade this person to do evil, but to punish is basically to push this person towards correction, to make sure that this person understand through the path of pain that needs to be corrected. Okay, so after Malchut joins Bina, basically the impure forces are no longer free to rule the world unless they have permission. The reason for this is that the letter Teth, the last letter of Bina, which sends the light of life to all with the help of Miftaha. Miftaha, remember, Miftaha is the key. After Malchut joins with Bina, she becomes a Miftaha and does not let go of this connection. Respectively, impure forces, the leg of the letter Kuf, can no longer sow death. So we talk about the letter Teth, and the letter Teth is this letter right here. Okay. So there are three places here that emerge from this. The first one is where only the properties of the letter Teth through the shining with the light of life in this world. So let's write here the letter Teth so people can see it's the letter Teth. And the entire world after Malchut joins with Bina, defined as Miftaha, after the letter Teth shines upon all, but permits the punishment of sinners according to the rule. And this is, so it says, you advance toward the glory either by the path of Torah or by the path of suffering. Then it says, hell, this place of eternal punishment by the letter Kuf, in contrast with the first place ruled by the letter Teth, where life is eternally prosperous. Okay, so all these letters look down, this one look up, and everything is closed down because everything has been, basically everything ascended, right? The letter Teth. Then Baal Hasman said that all the letters with all their secret properties described by those who understand them are located in the temple. All the upper and lower worlds are created in and function in the framework of the laws and properties and the supernal names. The creator name Yohevaheh ruled them all. The tabernacle, the Mishkan, in the temple was also designed with the help of letters for its builder. Bezalel knew how to join the letters and made the heaven and earth. And since he was unique in possessing this wisdom, he was entrusted with the building of the sanctuary. As the Creator chose Bezalel above, so he wished him to be chosen below. As he said to Moshe above, choose Bezalel. So Moshe said to his people below, the Creator has chosen Bezalel. For such was Bezalel's name property, Bet-Zel-El, in the Creator's shadow. Bezalel, right? The Creator is called Zerampin, or the Sefirat Tifaret in Parsuf Zerampin, which shines upon the Sefirat Yesod called Sadik. Bezalel is called Yesod, which received the light of the six below, meaning, Zerampin, and incomplete light from Tiferet, which is hence called sitting in the shadow, and in turn shining into Malchut. Thus, like Tiferet, the Sefirat Yesod that passes this light also consists of six Sefirot: Chesed, Geburah, Tiferet, Nesat, Hod, and Yesod. The name of the letter Tov, truth, indicates that in order to reach its level, its degree, one must attain the property of truth. Therefore, the letter Tov claimed that its properties were the ones that was needed in order for man to finalize creation and to basically reach the goal, analyze good and evil, man renounce all his impure desires as false to the degree that he renounced them completely, and draw basically man closer to the Creator and by the correction of the desires of man, bring Kamar Tikkun, or the end of correction. Well, the Creator answered that this is not so, that she is not worthy of becoming the basis of creation, because the forces of judgment will arise from it, will be also, because for the forces of judgment that will arise from it, it will be strong that even the complete righteous who fulfill the entire Torah from Aleph to Tov and reach the property of truth will somehow be punished by it, for they have not destroyed all the sinners, as it is written in Talmud Shabbat 55. In addition to this, the Creator declines a request, for it is also the seal of death, as its power brought death to the world, for man is bound to die. As the serpent forged its seal and deceived Adam in his understanding of the tree of knowledge, this is why the world cannot exist with its properties. Okay? And this is if you have the Zohar, whether it is a Kabbalah Center version, or if you have the regular Zohar and things like that, read this about the letter Tov once again slowly and meditate on it. It's very in depth, a very deep, how you call it, a very deep understanding, a lot of light in this passage, just one paragraph. In the next lesson, we're gonna continue with the letter Shin, the letter Kuf and Resh, and we're gonna cover more letters. The reason that we took more covering the letter Tov is because the letter Tov is the first letter that a sense is so powerful, and it's the meaning of this, basically this gate that was formed for the forces not to feed or take from the light. It basically becomes a gate that the forces of evil will receive according to what was planned for them. And then all these kind of like nice symbolic allegory of how the Hey and the Kuf and the Tav are related, and then how the Tet basically is what it's an ascension or a correction of all these evil forces above all these evil forces below. So I hope you have some kind of understanding of what we talk here, and what I want you to take from here, and I want to read it again, is the following. It's that as we read the Letters of Rabbi Hamnuna-Saba, and with this we're going to finish, is that the Mishkan, the Tabernacle, was designed according to the letters, and that's why Bezalel was chosen to do this, and it's because he knew how to join this letter that made the heaven and the earth. And a very important thing is that it says here that the Creator shows Bezalel above, but he wished him to be chosen below, and that's why he said to Moshe, choose Bezalel. So Moshe said to his people, the Creator has chosen Bezalel, for such was Bezalel's name property, Bezalel, in the Creator's shadow. The Creator is called Zerampin, or Sephirat Tifaret, Parsuf Zerampin, right? Which shines upon the Sephirah Yesod, called Sadik, righteous one. Bezalel is called Yesod, the Sadik, right, the righteous one, which received the light of Vak, an incomplete light from Tiferet, which is hence called sitting in the shadow, and in turn shining into Malchut. Thus, like Tiferet, the Sephirah Yesod that passes this light also consists of 6 Sephirot: Chesed, Geburah, Tiferet, Nesah, Hod, and Yesod. So this is basically what I want you to understand and think, that as we're reading this, the letter of Rabbi Hamnuna, we're learning about these properties of this letter. We're having a little bit of light of what Bezalel knew, or what other Kabbalists or people that had this kind of attainment with the letters knew, and how we can actually use this letter for connection with the Creator and all that. Okay, and this is all for now. I hope you have enjoyed this class. In the next class, like I said, we're gonna continue with the letters, more letters, not just one, and then we will probably enter, I would say, in 2 more classes, we're gonna enter a section called that's why I told you to make sure you keep this in mind about the Lok, Miftacha, and Manula, because then after that we're gonna be talking about the supernal wisdom, and with there we're gonna be talking about the lock and the key. Okay, the lock and the key. These are very important concepts. Okay, so this is all. I hope you have enjoyed. Until then, shalom.